This next chapter is called The Quantum Theory. Principles of physics are involved in a study of the quantum theory. It is the theory of distribution of energy throughout nature. It was developed in the Berlin University as an outcome of investigation into radiation from black objects. This research resulted in the conclusion that all forms radiate a definite energy, and that there is nothing in the world of form that is an inert mass. Every form has within itself some degree of energy, and this energy is a distinct emanation of the energy that fills infinite space. The amount of energy that each particular form radiates is in direct proportion to the relationship which it has with the universal energy. Just as a pendulum swings in a long or short arc according to the amount of force exerted to start it swinging, just so all forms retain the amount of active energy required in sending it forth. This energy is retained by the form just to the degree that it retains its relation to the energy which sent it forth. If the pendulum stops, it is because the impelling force has ceased to exert influence upon it. Matter becomes less and less active as it loses some of its contact with the original impelling force which started it into motion. When this energy ceases to act within the form disintegrates. Metaphysically, this has much of vital importance to those of the Western world. The movement in the United States came under the Depression, and all that means is that there was no foundation in fact. That is, it was founded on only a half-truth. There is fact as a basis for our metaphysics, but that fact was overlooked and misunderstood by most of its exponents in the United States. This will all be discussed in our consideration of the quantum theory. The Eastern world, those of higher thought, have known the facts propounded in the quantum theory. They deal in brief with but one fact, that of the universality of all things. And consequently, in dealing with that one fact, they have a definite basis for both science and metaphysics. The philosophy of the Western world is mere child's play. It is based to a great extent upon theory. Whenever you deal with divisions of mental, material, and physical, you are bound to base at least 75% of your calculations on theory. Division is not unity, and unity is not division, and the basis of all creation is that it is a unit. I am that I am, and beside me there is no other, is the eternal declaration of fact, which is the unity of all things. The direct violation of this fundamental unity is in considering the mind as having phases or faculties, when in reality mind is a single unit, not only as within the individual, but as existing in and of the universe. Material form is not something isolated from and independent of the universe, but is one in and with the universal substance. The physical body is not an isolated phase of the creative scheme, but is in and one with the universal energy. To violate this fundamental unity is to isolate yourself in a hypnotic state where you seem to be a separate being, and therefore you cut yourself off, devitalize yourself, and ultimately destroy your ability to further manifest in that plane. To deny the relationship of the visible with the invisible is to push yourself right out of your body and into the invisible. The Eastern philosophy is not based upon the theory at all. It is based upon a definite scientific fact or principle. That is the same ideal that Einstein is bringing out in the quantum theory. He has brought it out in greater evidence than has any other scientist in the Western world. Many are saying that it is the gap between science or physics and true religious thought. The Easterner does not approach the matter of religious thought as theory at all. In fact, he proves that it is not theory. Thereby he accomplishes that very fact and the possibilities involved in that fact. You do not see the Eastern philosophers pass out a theory of anything. Their basis is always in fact. It, of course, is not fact simply because they pronounce it so, but because it has a scientific basis in fact. That fact was clearly revealed by Christ when he said, "I and my Father are one," preserving the unity of himself with the whole. That is the basis from which all successful living must evolve, and it is only to the degree that this oneness is maintained by the individual that he begins to radiate the energy that sent him into being. This is the basis of the quantum theory as applied from the viewpoint of pure religion or pure metaphysics. And that is why the Eastern philosophers gave so much attention to the quantum theory. They see the scientists of the world returning to the basis of their own religious thought held for thousands of years. Einstein did not come right out and say that it is all spirit. Consequently, it was urged that the physical or material was not a fact, but he showed that it is based upon one joint determination. He put it as one general principle, correlating all physics, as he said, under one head. That is exactly what those of higher Eastern thought had determined long ago, that there is but one principle, one scientific basis, and that basis one of being. Now the Western world does not go back and reason from that principle. They work through to that principle from the external. Consequently, it is not necessarily a true form of reasoning. That is, their form of reason is not truly scientific reason. All true reason works out from principle to its manifestation, and not from the manifestation back to principle. Imagine trying to work a problem by reasoning back, or attempting to reason back to principle by studying the size, shape, form, and general construction of an accumulation of figures. The people of the Western world, in their attempt to solve the riddle of life, are doing that very thing. By this process they become highly mental, or as we put it, intellectual. And as we already know, their intellectual knowledge is always subject to revision, for it does not prove itself. That is why one of our modern scientists has said that all written books on science prior to the last 10 years should be burned. The Eastern world is carried beyond the intellectual or the ordinary intellectual. Of course, true principle and reason from the basis of the one fact is the highest form of intellect. But the hypothesis that the Eastern world takes puts it wholly on a true intellectual basis in carrying it to a clear conception. The intellect of the Western world covers a wide range but comes to no absolute conclusion in its hypotheses or theories. All of the science of the Western world has been based upon that hypothesis or theory. The people of the Western world have progressed to the point where they know the existence of certain determining factors, but they never go directly to the simple denominator of one principle when handling fact. The Eastern philosophers have always based their premises upon one natural fact, and there you have the basis of the quantum theory. One universal fact from which all forms emanate and operates as the animating force of the created form, the universal distribution of energy. The difference between the Hindu conception and the theory of monism is that the latter eliminated all but the blind force of nature or creation. The Hindu always considered it an active intelligence force that knew what it was doing, an energetic force, and a force that did accomplish an intelligent creation that moved toward an intelligent purpose, and that anyone who would work with the intelligence of that force could accomplish all things through it.